Hey, what's up, class? I'm coming at you again today from the mighty Chippewa River. I'm right here at the confluence where the Eau Claire River meets the Chippewa River. And this would have been where Eau Claire got its start. The first sawmill here on Eau Claire, the Eau Claire River would have been right here, where that bridge basically goes across, and the logs would come down the Chippewa River, down the Eau Claire River, and enter the sawmills here. And then this whole stretch of shoreline would have been all businesses, sawmills. Eau Claire had a steamboat, the Chippewa, that used to come here 2 times a week during the heyday of the lumber era. And Eau Claire was definitely booming. Right across the river here, right in this area, would have been where Leduc and Penasha set up the very first seasonal trading post with the Native Americans here on the banks of the Chippewa River, and where Eau Claire got its start. Here we have the marker that calls Eau Claire, Wisconsin's second city. That's because during the lumber era, this city was growing so rapidly and so fast, and the industry was booming here so much that it was actually on pace to become the second largest city in Wisconsin behind Milwaukee. Obviously, when the lumber era dries up, Eau Claire's growth slows down and it is not the second biggest city in Wisconsin today, but it was on track to be that way back in the Industrial Revolution era. Class, Mr. Stutz here. I just hiked through the woods to a kind of a cool location that I thought I'd share with you and show you. You know, when you were talking about industrialization, rivers were highways, and I know it doesn't seem like it right now, but this is the Eau Claire River down by Fall Creek where I grew up. Actually, this is not too far off our property, and this would have been the main mode of getting logs to Eau Claire. They would float down the river here, come on down, and if you look closely, right over here, where those 2 trees kind of cross, that's Fall Creek. And I know it's crazy to believe, but this was the city's foundation. I obviously can't get there today, but where that clearing is, that's where the houses and the sawmills and the businesses all would have stood. And this was actually the first location of the village of Fall Creek. And the logs would float down here on their way to Eau Claire. Now, what do you think caused the village of Fall Creek to move from that location to where it is now? You know, hint, hint, has to do with industrialization and moving away from timber and rivers to steel and railroads. And when the railroad was built, it was built about 2 miles south here of this current location, and the city literally picked up and moved from that spot right there to its present location, the village of Fall Creek, because that's where the railroad line went through. And that was the new mode of transportation and the new way of moving people and goods. And the city was essentially abandoned and moved. And today, this is all that's left of what used to be the old village of Fall Creek. All right, class. So here we are on the Chippewa River today, not the Eau Claire. If you remember back earlier when I showed you that picture of the log flume, this is where the log flume would have ran parallel right here along that bank on the Chippewa River, because there's the dam that would have been the dam for Dell's Pond, which was a logging holding facility, and the sawmill would have been right here. Now, as industrialization changed and the lumber era in Eau Claire dried up, we went from a sawmill here to similar product using trees, but Cascade tissue is currently there today. So that's a classic example of industrialization changing the dynamic, the economy, you name it, here of our city in Eau Claire, in that the mill at this location switched from making wood and lumber to making tissues, toilet paper, washcloths, paper towels, that's the word I was thinking of. So here you can see it. This would have been the site of one of the first sawmills here in Eau Claire, and the log reservoir would have been behind it. Hey class, Mr. Stutz coming at you from a different location here in Eau Claire today. I am in front of Banbury Place, and as the lumber industry in Eau Claire dried up, Eau Claire needed to look for a new way to stay modernized and industrialized. People were no longer demanding wood and timber, but they were demanding steel and other products such as rubber. Banbury Place was built here in Eau Claire and became Uniroyal Tire Company, and this became the new home for the industrial center of Eau Claire. It was around from the late 1920s up until 1990 when it formally closed. But here you can see the rubber mixer that was used. The gears there would turn the rubber, it would come in through the top, and then it would churn and come out here at the bottom. And this became the new industrial center of Eau Claire here at Banbury.